From the 1900s to 1914, the new century in early modernism. By the 1900s, Art Nouveau had lost much of its dynamism through sheer imitation and repetition. The death of Toulouse-Lautrec in 1901 and the abandonment of poster art by Mucha and Schiré, who both turned to painting, left a void that was filled by a young Italian artist named Leonot Capillo, who arrived in Paris in 1898, strongly influenced by Schiré and Toulouse-Lautrec. Capillo rejected the fussy details of Art Nouveau and focused instead on creating one simple, dynamic, often humorous image that was sometimes bizarre, which would immediately capture the viewer's attention and imagination on a busy boulevard. This ability to create a brand identity established him as the father of modern advertising, and his style would dominate Parisian poster art until Cassandra's first Art Deco poster in 1923. 1914 till 1919, World War I and the Bolshevik Revolution. World War I meant a new role for the poster, which was propaganda. The war ushered in the biggest advertising campaign to date that was critical to wartime communication, from raising money to recruiting soldiers and boosting volunteer efforts, to spurring on production and provoking outrage at the enemies. Utilizing contemporary Madison Avenue techniques, America alone produced about 2,500 striking poster designs and approximately 20 million poster, nearly one for every 4 citizens, in little more than 2 years. The lessons of the brilliant American advertising in World War I posters were not lost on the Bolsheviks, who turned to the poster to help win their own civil wars against the whites, where Lenin and his followers proved to be the pioneering masters of modern propaganda, and the poster became a weapon of choice throughout the century in both hot and cold wars everywhere. 1919 till 1938, between the world wars, modernism and Art Deco. After World War I, Art Nouveau's organic inspiration became irrelevant in an increasingly industrial society, and at the same time the first graphic design courses were launched in France, Germany, and Switzerland. That key moment of the transition from illustration to graphic design and advertising was quickly felt even in the Soviet Union, where constructive art arose to help create new revolutionarily technological societies. So they developed an educational art style of poster composition marked by strong diagonals, photo montages, and jarring colors. 1938 till the 1950s, World War II and the end of stone lithography. The poster, again, played a large communication role in World War II, but this time it shared a spotlight with other medias, particularly the radio and print. By this time, most posters were printed using mass production technique of photo offset, which resulted in the familiar dotted pattern that you can see in newspapers and magazines. The last scene of lithographic posters occurred in Switzerland, where the government heavily promoted printing industries and poster excellence. They appealed to the Swiss sense of precision, or object poster style, that developed in the 20s but blossomed during World War II in the early 50s in the Basel area. 1945 till the 1965s, post-World War II and mid-century modernism. Despite the looming tensions of Cold War, the end of World War II ushered in a baby boom in a new consumer society, with the arrival of television, jet travel, and global brands fueling the way. Posters done in the 50s style used vivid colors and playful motifs to appeal to a broad audience. Artists like Herbert Lubin, Donald Byrne in Switzerland, Paul Rand in the US exemplified the style's light-hearted qualities. The 50s style was applied to consumer services as well as products, and ever present were marvelous airline campaigns by David Klein, Stan Gali, and others, which sought to attract travelers to destinations like Disneyland, New York, Las Vegas, and Paris. 1965 till 1972. The 60s in the art of rebellion. The orders of the 50s would yield to a more chaotic and revolutionary tenor by the mid 60s. A new illustration style, one which borrowed freely from surrealism, pop art, and expressionism, was more relaxed and started the first wave of a postmodern sensibility. A famous example would be Milton Glasser's 1967 Bob Dylan record album Insert. The excess of the drug culture and political alienation led to a brief but spectacular psychedelic poster craze in the US, which recalled the floor excess of Art Nouveau, the pulsating after images of OP art, and the bizarre juxtaposition of surrealism.